Welcome to Improv for the podcast. On this week's episode, we're joined by Guy Morgenshtern, who will tell us all about his improvisational journey. We'll play a couple games, and most importantly, learn how he improv'd his life. Let's hit it. Welcome to Improv for the podcast. I'm your host, Michael Lee Evans, and tonight I'm joined by the incredibly talented master of mindfulness, hiker of Los Angeles, fan of a band he's seen in concert 2 times. I don't know what the band is. Guy Morgenshtern.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Guy. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Super excited to be here. So happy that I got the invitation to come, and even just for that introduction, I'm on a high right now. So
well, I believe all the things I said are true. Are they not?
They are.
There you go. So I'm just telling you things about yourself that you already know. All right, guys. So I'm looking at this sign back here. And, well, it's the reason we're both here, IFTP. So I want you to tell us a little bit, what's your relationship to this place?
Well, I found IFTP to be very, very freeing and a place to grow, essentially. I was about a couple years ago in a place where I was looking for a creative outlet and trying a few different things, and actually didn't even really give improv a thought. And when it was recommended to me and I came, I immediately felt, oh, this is the challenge I need. And it was challenging, it helped me grow, and then eventually just fun and creative and just a good place with good people.
That's amazing. So you joined a couple of years ago. What year was that, would you say?
Wow, I think I would say probably earlier in 2022.
Ooh, all right.
Or something like that.
Yeah, so coming up on 2 years.
Yeah.
Ooh, all right.
Doesn't feel like it at all.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, wait, am I new? Am I old? So it's definitely at that time.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, we're going to get into your improv journey here at IFTP a little more in just a bit. But before we do, Guy, we got to play some 3 things.
Okay.
All right. So as always, hopped on Google, did some research, and learned a little bit about you as best I could scrape off the internet. So we're going to learn some more things. Here we go. These are 3 things. Your first category, Guy. Your favorite Los Angeles hikes.
Ooh, Runyon Canyon, right
1.
by my house. There's this kind of hidden tiger tail trail in by the Getty Center that is amazing.
2.
And I don't know if it's probably not considered Los Angeles, but the Eaton Canyon rivers and falls, whatever that is, gorgeous.
3. All right, very nice.
These are 3 things.
These are 3 things. We got 2 more categories, though. There's more coming your way.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, here we go. This one is just random. Best late night snacks.
Oh, man. Blueberries.
1. Healthy.
Trying. Cookies.
2. There you go.
And a little bit of bread and hummus, I would say.
3. Very nice. These are 3 things. Last category. Your favorite live music acts.
Wow. Oh, okay. I will say number 1 is pretty much any small band I haven't seen before. I just find hidden gems do it for me.
1. I like that.
I really, really like Bob Dylan, even though he's not the best in concert.
2.
And I will say that last show I seen, and because it was just an amazing show, it was MXPX at the Palladium.
3. These are 3 things. All right. Very nice. Very nice. So, Guy, let's circle back to that first category. Why do you think I asked you about hiking?
Yeah, you were saying you did a little bit of searching and stuff, and I know it's very common nowadays, and I think I definitely got more into it during 2020 when there wasn't a lot to do. But yeah, I mean, I've just found, and it could be with age, that doing some crazier sports like basketball and other stuff like that have been a little bit more injury prone. And the way nature is just grounding. There's, basketball would just usually take the thoughts in my head and say, okay, you don't need to think about anything other than the game right now and the ball. And I loved reacting and being in that. And hiking, even though it gives me a lot of time to think, just being around nature really grounds me too.
Yeah. Okay. I got to ask about basketball. What was like, do you still play?
I haven't played in a little while.
Okay. What's your style of game? When you're playing basketball?
Wow. I think I'm like a 3-point shooter kind of guy.
Okay, 3-point specialist.
Yes, but I definitely rely more on my smarts. Again, I haven't played in a while, so I would think I would even do that more. But, I'm just like, okay, the sneaky pass, the thing that people don't see, more than, the athleticism.
All right. Very nice. Very nice. 3-point shooter. I gotta. The weakest part of my game is shooting. In fact, so
Right. Yeah.
it's I'm trying to work on that. So okay. There's hope. There's hope. There's folks who can shoot. I need to learn how.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that not in professionals, that like nobody really shoots that great.
That's true. That's true. I have a friend. He's pretty good, and it's annoying. But
some people got the touch.
Yeah, some people do. And I'm like, stop. It's annoying to play against. Like it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, he's not Steph Curry, but at our level, he is.
Hey, well, if you're practicing with him.
That's true. Oh, I'm not practicing. I just play. That's the problem.
That's
the problem. I need to practice. All right. You mentioned that Eaton Canyon hike. I love that hike.
Cool.
Yeah, I just did one that was very similar to it. I don't remember the name, but it was like a similar thing. Like you go up a canyon, there's a waterfall at the end, but it was. This is pointless because I don't remember the name of the hike.
There's like Temescal Canyon is kind of more by the west, I think. That's where some people go.
It was in Altadena, actually.
Oh, okay.
But no, I lost the name. This is pointless. I'm bringing up something I don't remember the name of.
I will say about hiking,
really nice. Yeah.
That, we had that crazy winter, right?
Yeah.
Where it was just like winter for 14 months of the year. And when all the snow and all that started melting, it was just like every weekend I wanted to go somewhere where it's like the streams are high, the waterfalls, sometimes it's a trickle and you're like, it says it's a waterfall on the website, but you get here and it's like nothing. All of them were really flowing. So that was like a golden time for me personally in the hiking and nature thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like getting to go through the water and really experience it. It felt more like a real hike. You're like,
exactly.
I'm toughing it out, getting wet, and like whatever,
Yeah.
That's why you're out there. All right, that second category, late night snacks. I mean, everybody snacks late at night. So tell me, what kind of cookies?
Oh, man.
What kind?
Look, if I had my choice, I would just be like, it could be Oreos. It could be, so if I do have a friend, I've had to be more healthy and I can't even put stuff in my house. It's that bad. It doesn't make it through the night.
Yeah.
But I have a friend that has a couple of kids, and when I go hang out with him, I definitely get into that. And he always has like 3 different flavors of Oreos and, all that stuff. So chocolate, like little wafers, cookies.
Ooh.
I mean, I could definitely just talk about that, but it's just like I can never limit myself to 2 or 3. When I see people do that, I'm just like, how?
It's impressive.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I feel you. Because you said blueberries, bread and hummus, definitely on the healthier side. Oh, man. But at the same time, like, I could eat so much bread and hummus,
Yeah. I mean, that totally is just like a go-to. It's kind of almost more of a replacement meal,
That's
like
true.
that's not that good.
Because it's pretty filling. And, hummus, it's made of beans, right? Good protein in there. And there you go.
My favorite bean, garbanzo bean, chickpea or whatever.
Pretty dynamic bean, I'd say.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And a great name. Just garbanzos. That's fun to say.
It totally is. How does it have 2 names, too?
I don't know.
And maybe a lot of beans have that, but
that's true.
Everyone knows the 2 for that.
Yeah, garbanzo and chickpea. Huh. Yeah.
And just like, outside of America, and I think they just call it hummus. So it almost has 3 names. They call the actual thing hummus, too, not just the dish.
Yeah.
So...
I got to do some research. I got to research this bean guy. All right. We'll learn more about it later. All right. That last one. Want to ask you about favorite live music acts?
I'm not totally sure, other than the fact that, I was pretty high on having a recent great experience at a concert. But I thought it was a really interesting question, especially when it's like the favorite one, because I've had so many, especially in LA. A great thing about LA is who's coming through, and
the scene here.
That's probably true for any art form, right? That's just like people coming through LA. Definitely stand-up comedy, improv, so much going on. But also music is, some person from a small town in Canada that just made it their dream to go around singing. I recently saw them in Hollywood, and it was just like a little, 20, 25 people. And this person had a voice that just like shook me And you could just tell, wow, they've been working on their craft and they just have it. And it's so soulful.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they'll ever get any bigger than this. So that's why it's just like, I feel when you're seeing somebody at that level, it's truly just like for their passion of it.
Yeah, because they're putting in the work. They're, dealing with like the struggles of having maybe a smaller audience. And it's like, you know what? I still love doing this. Even if it's 10 people, even if it's 5 people, I'm still going to go out there and do my thing.
Yeah.
Which is, can be probably a pretty incredible show too, because it's a bit more intimate.
For sure.
I think sometimes, I was talking to my wife about this. She went and saw Beyonce at SoFi, right? When she was coming through doing her tour. And it reaches a point where it's so big that it doesn't feel, you don't feel like the artist is having a relationship with the crowd that they're performing with. They're just going through like the set list and the choreography. And it's still really cool, but it's a different kind of concert.
Yeah, I would assume it's a lot about the energy. I mean, we heard so much about Taylor Swift.
Right, yeah.
It's like we were getting an update every day from whatever city she's in about
the Eras Tour.
What kind? Yeah, exactly. What kind of natural event she's causing, and then they come out with a movie about it. And,
I know.
And it's like, what is going on here? How can people love this so much?
And it's like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, something like that. I don't even.
Yeah. So I think that's just got to be like, okay, they're seeing that person, but it's got to be the energy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine. I've not been to a concert that big, so.
Right. And I think at least for some women I've heard, they can go to a Taylor Swift concert and meet like 5 lifetime friends there.
Yeah.
So
they all love that artist so much. It's like, we're all Swifties.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't want to knock it, but I don't get it.
I know. You got to be careful.
That's
be careful.
That's all I can say. That's all I can say. I don't get it, but you know what? Hey, you do you.
Right.
All right. So, Guy, we could talk about cookies. We could talk about hummus, all these other things all night. But the real reason we're here, right, is to talk about improv. So I want you to think about, when was the first time in your life you learned about, saw, or were exposed to improv? Just the concept, whatever that was for you, your first introduction.
Wow. I think it probably was through the show Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I didn't even know it was called improv. That the first time I think I actually understood, something is improv, was probably seeing a not so great show by very early people, and almost like sitting through a kind of awkward stand-up comedian where it's like, you're just like, I'm supporting you, but oh my gosh, that's how I felt. And so again, Whose Line Is It Anyway was pretty funny, but I didn't even like catalog that as improv. So I actually that's why I kind of took a while to even get to here. I spent a while just thinking, improv isn't that funny. Improv is this. And then after doing it, it was kind of like, oh, now I get all these amazing sketches I love and these funny people. There's some things you just can't sit down and write. You just have to play it out. And you're like, that's hilarious. We have a person doing this in this location, and this other person comes in. You can't write that. You have to just let it come to you and then get inspired.
That's really cool. Yeah, and I think, unfortunately for many of us, we probably had some weird show we saw as a kid or something it was supposed to be improv, and it stunk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's all happened. Maybe in high school or, something like that. So growing up, were you interested in performing at all? Like, were you into music or like performing arts, anything like that?
Wow, I really wasn't. I never, and I haven't really sought that out. But, I was in a band, and I think it just started as like that age of being like, hey, there's a few friends, we all want to get an instrument. And I was in a little bit of a band, but we never really played big shows, only a few times. And, so I never had the experience of like, whoa, look at me up on stage. I'm doing this. This is amazing. And then there was a period of time that for work, I kind of got really passionate about like helping grow companies and from like the startup level. And so I wanted to present and speak on it a lot. And that I actually took like a little bit more of a public speaking course. And when I started getting up and doing those and people were just like engaged or really interested in what I had to say and coming up and complimenting me on that, that was like the first time I even thought like, oh, maybe I could be somebody that's decent at standing in front of people. But
you're like, oh, there's something here. Like,
right.
I can do this.
Exactly. Yeah. So that opened up my passion of just being in front of people, not so much performing, but like speaking to them or whatever that is. But yeah, I will say that since IFTP and, seeing the freedom there is, and then finally going to some really amazing shows here. Like I really, in the first couple, I was like, how did I just like not stop laughing? Totally reversed my thinking on what improv is coming to a show here. It really did. And so initially it looked really scary to me, but then after just feeling more and more comfort, I'm like, yeah, I could do that. And I think I'd probably be decent at it,
So how did you find this place? Were you like Googling around or?
Yeah, I kind of was. I think I like, I basically looked and found some of the other places.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I saw that one required an audition. And this was still like before people were doing stuff in person. And so I signed up for an audition, and then luckily I canceled this audition like a couple days before because I had never done improv. I didn't even know what yes and was. So to step into an audition and they would have been like, they would have been like, hey, let's do 3 things. And I would be like, what are you talking about? I'd have to have everything explained to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I don't want to be competing with actors and, I don't want to be like, I'm not too serious. I'm really just looking for an outlet. And I think I heard from somebody that like it was very, in a way, low stakes here. And so that's what kind of drew me to it. Later on, that I also did a couple classes in other places. I'm like, it's not so much it's low stakes here in the sense that you're not necessarily preparing for a show or like, there's not this goal, but it's high stakes because they really throw you in the deep end, very gently and very, very calmly in a way. So they realize you're new and, you're just kind of seeing other people. Took me a while to understand some of the other people in my class have been doing improv for years.
Yeah.
And unlike other places where they start you off
separated.
Here I was like, oh, that's why it feels like, because I get on there and there's a teacher here, Liam, and again, I came into this not knowing who's who. I'm in a classroom. I don't know who's been doing it a month, who's been doing it years. And he was in a class of mine. I'm doing scenes with him, and he just takes the intensity to 10. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
Like, whoa, this guy.
Right. And it's happened with multiple people, and then like finding out, oh, they really know what they're doing. So really cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. I'm thinking about it. Like, they're like, put down in the class, and then there's like one person in there, and you find out they're a teacher, and you're like, but they're in the class. Yeah, that would be crazy because you're watching them, and you're like, is this your first improv class too? Like, did you just start?
Totally.
Yeah. And I think that is something unique about here because I've also experienced some of the other like offerings around town, right? That we have, like that place that does those auditions or, and it's the mix here is something I've always really loved. Like, when I started here, I really liked that everyone was coming from that different background of like, oh yeah, I've been at IFTP, or this other person, oh, I've done improv all over town, blah, 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 blah. So it's cool to get the blend of that. And, you're not forced like to work with a specific level. You can work with everybody.
Right.
And I think that builds growth both for the more experienced folks and for the folks that are newer to improv as well.
For sure. And there's just a freedom here because you're not building towards a product. And, I don't want to, like say everything has its place. And definitely I would say people in the industry, okay, here's our product. You're going to learn how to do our product. And then, we're connected or, to this person or that person. I would like, after experiencing this, I would tell people, I would be like, hey, go, you can continue here too, but go do a couple things at IFTP because here they're just very concerned with their way and their product, which is understandable because that's what they're putting out there. But IFTP, it was kind of like you can get there and do whatever you want. They're going to tell you the rules. You can break the rules, and then either it works and we could talk about it, or it doesn't work and we could understand why it didn't. And so you're actually learning here by just trying.
So coming in, when you first started, maybe those first couple weeks, first couple months, you said kind of one of your objectives, right, was just like, I want to try improv. It's something new. You were looking for something creative to do because you already had like skill as a public speaker. You had experience in that. So it's just like, yeah, improv. It's creative. Let's do it. You're in LA. Might as well. What was your impression of those first couple classes?
I had to first understand that it kind of goes in waves. You know, my first class was like amazing. I just happened to have a really good scene, you know, and that's what you realize too. You're not always this way or always that way. So, you know, initially it was really learning about myself. That's what the beauty of it was, having confidence, having patience, trying to remove some filters, and also trying to be more positive because, you know, that's another one of those things you learn that, yeah, two people can go into a scene and fight and be bad about each other or be mad and fight. Having said that, it kind of works out more when they're kind of going with each other and having fun. It just, you know, I don't know if I can explain it fully, but it's just usually better scenes. But again, like I said, not that another scene, two people yelling at each other the whole time can't work. But initially, something that really came up was also dropping an agenda. Because I didn't say this, but, you know, and this is like, you know, more my ego, I guess, but I like to think I'm a funny guy. I guess that's part of my identity, you know, throughout life. It's like I'm one of those like, oh, I want to be the funny one, or I'm the funny one. And that was like, oh, I think I'll be good at that. And then I realized like, okay, that's a little bit of it. And after I learn how to play, then that side can come out more. Initially, though, it was like, I have to drop agendas. I can't sit there and think of the perfect joke. I need to just believe that it's going to happen. And then also realize that the funniness isn't going to be the clever thing I thought of all the time. It could be something that nobody saw coming, and somehow that worked. You know, that is the true amazingness of like improv. So initially, again, in that first time, I remember there, you know, was a scene. I was in Matt's class, and it was like, okay, you know, come in from the side and do this and that, and I somehow had a line or two that just, I think it was more dumb luck, kind of was implying something. So it was kind of like a really cool way to like give information, but not just call it out, more like implying it. But it did that again. Something I could try to do a million times and probably not be able to, but it did that. After the scene, Matt kind of dissected it, and that gave me that rush of like, okay, it was super scary being in front of people, and just like, hey, go for it. You don't know what's going to happen. Go for it. But that gave me a lot of confidence. And what I noticed early on is that you just think about what I could have said. You know, so initially it's like, oh man, I could have, and it was I could have done that. And that's like another teacher here, you know, Jamie. You know, even at improv camp where I met you. Another thing that he would bring up was, okay, so what? So if you think of great ideas, go write it down, make a sketch out of it. Like he'd just be like, that's not interesting because you didn't think about it in the moment, and that's improv. So, but that was initially a lot of what was coming up for me.
It's so easy to be a great improviser after the scene.
Yes,
it's like we all are, because we're like, oh man, it's like that same thing where like after. Like in real life, if you have an argument with someone, you think of a great comeback later. And it's like, man, I would have got him with that.
Right.
Improv is the same way. And I think it's learning to let that go. And I mean, every scene is an opportunity to do something great, you know, to build something great with that other person or other people, you know, depending on the scene. So it's like, you can't have regret for too long with improv.
Not at all. And I think that's that's where it also connects back to life, right? That like, you know, even if something seems like it's not going good or whatever, at any moment it could turn, and it could be something that no one expected that makes it turn. And then all of a sudden it is a beautiful scene. So, you know, for life, kind of like trying to keep that as well. When it seems like it's not my day, whatever's happening, it can really turn in a second.
No, improv lessons are life lessons, guy. It's right there. It's right there.
That is truth.
Yeah.
That is truth.
Oh, I believe that wholeheartedly. All right. So during your time here at IFTP, I know you mentioned Jamie, you mentioned Matt. What classes have you been in? I guess I'm curious. What teachers have you had?
I
What
bounce
nights?
around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know, that's there's pluses and minuses because I definitely have seen people who've been going to the same night, the same class for a long time.
Yeah.
And, you know, if we relate it back to basketball, you know, there's going to play a pickup game with a bunch of strangers, and that could be fun because you might find a great shooter and somebody who knows how to pass and all that. And it can also just be like that, it takes a little while to gel and, you know, you don't know all the personalities. So there's an advantage to going to the class, and I see it with people who are so comfortable with each other. So when they do scenes, they just like get right into it. And so with me, jumping around different classes, there's always a little bit of a ramp up in that first week.
Absolutely.
But I have taken everyone's class other than Liam. I am looking forward to taking his class, and I think to me that's a gift. I like a variety because you know. So I've taken Ava's class a lot. Matt, I've been in Benjamin's class on the weekends too. Jamie's. So yeah, I think everyone other than Liam and Gavin too. And Gavin was another great person who was in a class of mine, and I was just like, this guy's pretty good, and then realizing, oh, he's really good.
Yeah.
And you know, just bringing it. You know, like the things that like I could forget of, like not being Guy up there, you know, and then when you see somebody step into it and they got a body thing or they have an accent or they have, and you're
choices.
like, right, choices, and then that's it. They're just, it's so much richness, and I can still be like a little bit of I'm Guy, and I'm talking in my voice, and I'm talking, and I'm just relying on the mind to think of stuff instead of like let the body do some of the work, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, you asked about the different classes, but I want to take them all. I loved in improv camp that it was moving from place to place.
Yeah, you get a lot.
Oh man, that is just, it was so intense, and just all the teachers brought so much energy and passion and just freedom. So yeah, it's great.
Definitely. And camp is a great way too. It's like, if you haven't tried some of the other teachers, it's like coming to camp, you get to sample a lot of folks. Yeah, I think, because there was Ava was teaching, Jamie, Benjamin, and then Matt didn't teach. Yeah, Matt didn't teach this year. He's taught in the past, but this year he was like, "Nah, I'm in charge. I'm just gonna do my thing." Yeah,
man, I thought the format of that was so great.
Yeah, it's really cool. Just the different sessions and focuses, and you get to try so many different things while you're there, and be like, "Oh yeah, how are my initiations? How am I doing this? How are my characters? Blah blah blah. How are my emotions?" I love all of that, and Guy, I really appreciate your approach of how you've had all these different teachers too. I honestly think that's really important. I mean, especially here at IFTP, which is kind of, I think, one of our big selling points as a studio is like, hey, we have all these different teachers who, you know, they're not all forcing you to look at the same curriculum. They're kind of giving you a slice of their style of improv, how they approach it, and you can take what you want and what works for you.
Right.
It's like 6 different unique perspectives here, which is really awesome.
For sure. They all see something a little bit different. And something I really like about being in their classes, they'll usually quote each other sometimes.
Yes, yeah.
You know, something will come up. They'll be like, something that Ava says is this, and that's true because this, and that. And,
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, which is, I think, really important too. And having instructors and teachers that support each other as well. Plus,
totally.
A good thing about you having tried all the classes, you got to meet a ton of people.
Yes.
Which I think about when I was a student at IFTP, I only ever did the Wednesday class. I never left. And then I moved into a different role here at IFTP, and I'll never know what it's like outside Wednesday class. I was like, man, I think I did like one makeup class on a Saturday, and I was like, early in the morning, not for me. Not that it's even that early, but yeah.
Well, yeah, look, like I said, I think that's the norm from the people I talk to. That's, you know, and obviously people's schedules, and maybe I'm more flexible than others. But yeah, meeting a lot of different people was really cool.
Yeah.
Because, you know, going back to camp, you know, I was nervous for camp too, because, you know, I didn't feel like I knew that many people because, again, people would be meeting week after week. And all of a sudden, you know, yesterday I was in class and I saw people and they're like, so where you been? Where you this and that? And it's like, oh, well, you know, I just been in this other class and all that. But at camp, I remember driving up there and being like, okay, if it's super weird, I can leave. It's not that far. I have an exit. I wonder if I'll even know a few people. And when I got there and being like, oh, I know so many people here. And yeah, some I just know from one conversation, some a few more. But just, yeah, and then that whole camp feel, obviously getting to know people a lot closer in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, camp is, I mean, you're spending so much time with everyone.
Yes.
It's like, you have to get along. You
Yeah.
have to get to know folks because otherwise you'll be bored and it won't be worth your time.
Very true. And it's so supportive. I mean, like, again, like the whole structure of improv here is just like people growing together. And, you know, that's kind of what you really feel. Like people come out of the sessions, even the classes, but let's just say in camp, oh, wow, I just got challenged. I just got challenged and I did it. And wow, like that was repetitive each time because, again, the teachers here really, in their own view, want to challenge you, want you to accomplish this thing. And that's what I love.
Yeah, absolutely. So thinking about back to when you started compared to now, right? We're coming up on 2 years. How do you think you've grown as an improviser from when you started to now?
A really big thing is dropping the agenda. Just as an example, one of those early scenes, they were just like, okay, 2 people, it's a father and a son, and go. That's it. That's all they gave us. Or they said, and the other person gets the first line. That was like the only rules. As I sat down and trying to get into this role, I'm like, okay, I'm the father, he's the son, and as he had the first line, he goes, well, son, I'm glad to see you. And I froze. I could not get out of just, wait, I thought I was the father. So that was early on.
It's and like pre-assigning that role to yourself.
Yeah. And so that has been really special to let go of. You know, that was just like a specific example because I wasn't even like mumbling after that. I couldn't even get a word out. I was so stuck on the simplest idea of who I am. And so that has been like really great. And clap-ins, especially after camp, Jamie did kind of a thing about clap-ins where it was just like you're just going. And Matt always also says like you start while you're walking. You just like boom, and it's like wait, but I don't know what I'm gonna say yet. And it's just like it somehow comes out of your mouth. And so dropping the agenda, trusting that my mouth and my feet will do what they need to do. I think that has really grown. And then, picking up the little strategies about, like, let's say, not trying to ask as many questions, instead of saying a question, kind of just come with the answer, be a little bit more active instead of passive, even with the language. That stuff is really hard because it's so against the instincts of meeting somebody on the street or meeting somebody. Like, I'm somebody who's just like, oh, I'm very curious. So when did you do this? How are you doing that? It's like, that is my natural. So to go against that was really hard to get going. But I think I finally got it. Just like information, action, go. And, you feel it the way the scenes go.
Yeah. Wow. Those are big ones. I think. You just talking about dropping agenda that really sticks with me because I still have to think about that all the time when I'm going into the scene. It's like you said, it's like, oh, you got a great idea. Well, make that a sketch, right? That's what those are for. That's for you to plan and write it out how you want. That's always been like my biggest thing. I'm like, that dang agenda.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can ever really release all of it.
Yeah.
That seems to be that, like that nirvana of improv where like, because, it's good to have an idea, something going. But again, just listening to the partner or wherever the scene goes, especially with clap-ins, you had a great idea. Oh, it's over. Take a step back. You just have to like let it go real quick. But yeah, like when your partner says, hey, son, how are you doing? It's just like, oh, I don't care if I had a great joke about me being a dad. It's like that's irrelevant at this point.
Yeah.
So it's like I had an agenda, but just let it go, right?
Okay. All right. To let's say repackage an earlier question. So earlier you told me about your style of game for basketball. What would you say your style is as an improviser? What's like your specialty?
I've been told, and again, this is just a reflection, but I've been told I'm good with the kind of the one-liner or the shocking thing that could either take it a different direction or just give the great, like, whoa, that just got said. So I've been told I'm good with the one-liner to just shock everything.
Okay.
And then somehow timing too. I think like my timing is good in the sense of being funny. again, that's like the real part of me finally coming out now that I feel like I know how to drop an agenda, and if I see my partner is on going a certain direction, going with it. So yeah, I'd say that's a little bit my style, just kind of like being able to say the thing or do the thing that just kind of like gives a lot of juiciness to it, and now deal with this. I guess it's a hard question for me because I'm always more thinking about what to work on, which is like, again, more characters and body stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think you answered it very well. And in a way, like how you said it, like with the one-liner, so you're like the 3-point shooter of improv.
Oh, yeah,
you hit a big shot.
Yeah.
It's like,
exactly.
Which I think is really cool. But I mean, I think everyone has something like within improv that they're like naturally like really solid at. And then we all have stuff we're working on too, that we need to improve, like characters or physicality or object work or initiations in a scene, right?
Yeah, just to ask you, I am interested. What is your improv specialty?
Yeah, well, like you said, it's easier to think of things you want to work on. It's very true. So, well, if I think basketball, I know it's not 3-point shooting. But improv, I don't know. I think I can, when I do like become a character, like a very heavy character, whether that's like, like an accent. Like I love a good California accent. It's one of my favorites to do. I think I can really dive into that character. I don't always get there. Just, I don't know, sometimes it's hard, or I'm not always good at bringing that into a scene, or, you don't want to have every scene be like, saw, dude. Like, that's not what you want to do in every improv scene. So when the opportunity arises, I think I can have fun with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
See, that's good. I want like at least a couple go-to characters.
Yeah,
I don't have any right now, but I want a couple.
You'll find it.
Yeah.
I think it's there. It's there, guy. It's in your heart. It's in your mind. I don't know. It's somewhere. All right, guy. I got no. We're gonna do a few more questions. Let's think.
Sure.
So, think about class. You show up. Maybe it's a Monday night. Maybe it's a Tuesday night. Maybe it's a Wednesday night. Who knows? You show up. What's in your ideal improv class? Can you tell me maybe like one or two exercises, warm-ups that you really enjoy doing?
Wow. The warm-ups are good that they're called warm-ups.
Yeah.
Like, when I first get to the space, it does take a while for me to kind of shrug off the day, again, that's what's great about camp, is that like you don't have to reset, so you're just going deep. But yeah, like, I guess I like, when you go around a circle and you kind of have to do a rhyming thing. I'm not good with the name right now. Yeah. But yeah, like it's kind of like one person says something and the other person needs to rhyme with that. Mm-hmm. And then it just goes one line. It's super challenging, but it definitely gets me to be like, how do I start talking and hopefully land somewhere good? And if it doesn't, it's super low stakes. Yeah. And I'm having more and more fun with the mirroring. That's another thing for me that like I'm just like, I gotta do this, and it's like right at the start of class, it's like you're deeply connecting with somebody, you're probably making eye contact and really paying attention to them, that you could like mirror their body movements. So initially those are the things I'm like, this feels like very awkward right now, but I've noticed recently just like it's an opportunity for me to just give in. This is kind of going back to something else, but initially when I said like learning that there are off weeks and off days, and you kind of, it's a flow, those happen less, and again, to relate it back to basketball, that if you're a shooter, you got to know that if you miss a shot, you need to immediately forget about it.
Yep.
And that's what they always say, like you just don't even think about that last shot. And in improv class, an ideal class for me is doing a lot of scenes, which usually is what happens. And so initially I would get up and I would do a scene, and I would either feel like it didn't go good or I was stuck, and then I could really just sit there in class and be like thinking about it and not be, and then just like, and then the next scene isn't that great. And so it kind of was like something I learned initially was like, let it go. It doesn't matter. Just like if I had a great scene, that doesn't mean that the next scene isn't going to be bad. Yeah. So it's just like letting it go and just being able to like every scene clear my mind. So that's what I like when we have the opportunity to do that. I do enjoy scenes with more than two people, even though two people is a great scene too.
Yeah.
When there's a 3 or 4 or whatever people, but at least 3, it's like there's just more of a chaos.
Yeah.
And from that chaos, just like, that's where some of the magic can happen. And I really just like analyzing the scenes afterwards, so many of the teachers, they get the thoughts from the improvisers, they get the thoughts from the audience. And so it's just like noticing things and hearing what other people are noticing. That's where it's just like, for me, I'm just get really interested,
Yeah. And I love your comparison of like an improviser to a shooter in basketball, right? It's like, you can't always think about those past shots you missed. You got to move on as soon as you throw that ball up, whether it makes it or not, move on. Like your best shot is the next one. Your best scene in improv, the next one.
Yeah, right? And to kind of keep going with that metaphor, like if you miss a shot, if you're on a good team, you want to know that your teammates are not going to say like, oh, that person's off today.
Yeah.
Or we're not going to pass it to him anymore. He's just going to miss. No, they're just going to be like, hey, here you go. Next time you're open, it's your turn. We trust you. And if you miss 5 in a row, we're still going to trust you.
Yeah.
And that's how the team's going to win, as opposed to a team that's like, this guy's not good, and they don't want to even look at you anymore. So it's very similar in these classes and stuff. And that is, I think, kind of the culture, because it's really fun. It's not competitive. We don't have any goal we're getting to. That the people up there, even the different people in class, just have a really thing of like, hey, it doesn't matter. If you're messing up and they see you're messing up, you feel their support go up even more. So that's kind of the analogy too. Being on a team where if you miss a shot, they're still going to pass you the ball.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you get open, be ready. Yeah.
Yep.
Man, basketball and improv. These are comparisons I didn't realize were there, but now I'm thinking about it. You're unlocking a lot of thoughts in my mind. I'm like, oh wow, you're right. Yeah, it's a team. They're still gonna pass you no matter what. So good stuff, guy. All right, quick tangent.
Let's talk about defense.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. All right, quick tangent. Do you have a team?
Yeah. Chicago Bulls are my team, even though they've been very disappointing. I lived in Chicago for 5 years.
Okay.
When I was younger, I don't think that's on the internet. It was pre-internet days.
Yeah, no, I did not see a trace of that. Yeah.
So I lived there right when it was like Jordan and the Bulls.
Oh, so, I mean, come on. Yeah. I mean, fan for life.
Fan for life. Right. And then when I moved out here, I just felt like I'm the real Chicago Bulls fan.
Yeah.
The whole world loves it, but I'm the... And so, since then they've sucked, but that's been my team.
I mean, hey, one of the greatest, in terms of basketball, like the best dynasty, the greatest player of all time,
For sure. Yeah. No, I'm a proud fan.
Yeah. All right. So wait, quick debate. MJ versus LeBron. Who do you got?
Oh, wow. It's especially if this is on the record.
Yeah.
I'm going to still have to say MJ, but I am a big LeBron fan. I find everything fascinating. So even the way he's just kind of a figure that a lot of people don't want to give credit to or find ways to take down, it's just like, wow, that's so interesting. It doesn't happen with so many of our popular stars. And this guy is probably one of the most popular, especially of this era. And then when you go into his like personal life and, things he's done and, where he came from and the situation, it's just like insanely inspiring, So, like Michael Jordan talks about how he also had a very strong mother figure. And he had brothers and sisters and he grew up in a house and like he didn't make the team. So then, he got a lot better. That was kind of LeBron James, man, his single mom. He has no siblings, and unless I'm mistaken, I think initially he lived with his basketball coach, and his friends all like figured out how to go to the same school, and he still is helping out his friends. Yeah. And one of those guys on his team in high school started out as his agent, but now he's the biggest agent in basketball. So you just look at this guy that just like and LeBron has never gone into any kind of trouble of any kind.
Yeah.
Family guy.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Which being the number one like athlete in your sport. That's, I think, really hard to do. Or
Really hard. Came in right from high school. So all these things that are supposed to be like, oh, if you go to college, you get this, you learn how to be mature. This guy apparently was mature from like 5 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
putting the spotlight and the pressure that was on him.
And stepped it up. I think he's like, the only guy to have so much hype and live up to it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like they started calling him King James for such a young age. It's like, ooh.
For sure.
I think that's a good comparison because I know I've been a LeBron hater at times too, but
it's okay.
There has to be respect there too for what he's done. Like you can't deny it.
Yeah, yeah.
He's won rings. Like his story. How he came up into the NBA. Like,
right.
A lot of good stuff there, and you got to admit, like his character is really solid. And I think at the end of the day, he's a good dude. Good father, good husband, and a great basketball player to boot. So.
Oh yeah, amazing.
I mean, I've never met him personally, but from what it seems like,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. But, yeah, at the end of the day, though, MJ, I mean, just go watch The Last Dance.
Right. Yeah. That was like the greatest gift during COVID. Like, we could talking about basketball stuff, but yeah, during that first time of COVID, Last Dance came out. People who weren't basketball fans were like talking to me about it. Super interesting. And then the whole experiment of the NBA doing the bubble. So,
championship.
That's what I think when I think about during COVID, how we got through it.
All right. I'm going to ask you one more basketball question, then we'll get back to improv. This is just random. If there was one player in the NBA right now that you could pick to be on the Chicago Bulls, who would it be?
Wow. Okay.
Like salary cap, all that aside. No, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I'd say Jokic, Nikola Jokic.
Okay, still from the Nuggets.
Yeah, because I think he's just like, with how the game developed, somehow this guy came out that's like the smartest player and making every right decision. And so, there's definitely a few to pick from and some that might, know how to dunk better or something. Yeah. But he's just right now looks like such a savant out there.
Yeah, he's okay now. And his second round draft pick too is crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's turned into, one of the best in the league right now. So
yeah, he's gonna go down as one of the best of all time.
Yeah,
I think we already see that, which is like crazy.
Yeah. Man. Okay, Jokic. All right. And he loves horses.
Well, who are you a fan of?
Yeah. Okay. So in truth, my basketball journey is still new. I'm a lifelong football fan, but been getting into basketball since I started playing. So team-wise, I've decided to be a Clippers fan.
Good.
Because I'm a Chargers fan of football, and they're basically the same team in terms of no championships. Fan bases, younger brother team, basically in a big city, probably shouldn't be in LA. I think a ton of similarities. So I was like, all right, Clippers. But I think I'd want Jimmy Butler.
Ooh, Jimmy okay, Butler, yeah. You see, he used to be in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I kind of was a little scorned when he left.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit for me. But I'm also, football, I'm a Chargers fan too.
Oh.
I lived in San Diego a bit. Yeah.
Okay, that's why I grew up down there. So that's why. That's why I'm cursed. Yeah.
So they had a really good time during there, whether, disappointments and all that. But it was fun, and again, from Chicago, I was like, oh, I'm Bears. But, Bears never meant that much to me.
Yeah.
And, I was just like, man, Bears aren't good. I could pick my own team. Bears have just been disappointing all the time, ongoing. And San Diego is just, hey, I'm here. It's fun. Mm-hmm. And I'm all for people still calling them the San Diego Chargers.
Oh, yeah. That's what they should be.
And I am a Clippers fan over the Lakers fan, too. That's my number 2 team, the Clippers.
Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi. Yeah. Yeah, but, Jimmy Butler. It's just that one story that came out about him, I think, when he was on the Timberwolves, where he, said he'd beat all the starters, and then he beat them all. He brought up the practice squad guys or whatever, and beat all the starters. And I was like, that's pretty insane. So I just gotta respect that man, his heart, I think, and his his desire to be great. He can will a team to win games, and their playoff success. And they haven't won a championship with him, but they've gone really far. So many the past few years. So
yeah, I mean, I think he really found the right fit for himself.
Yeah, that Heat culture.
Yeah, he really was all these other organizations, whatever. He found the place where he just okay, they're gonna let me be me, and I
Yeah.
get to be intense, and they're gonna reward me for that. So
Yeah, and his I don't know if you saw like his media day photos from
Oh,
this year
yeah.
with the emo haircut and like
He's
all
great.
of that. I was like, I mean, come on, how can you not? That's just fun.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
you know,
so hilarious.
you need a guy like that too sometimes. Bring some fun to the locker room.
yeah.
All right, so let's get back to improv.
Sure.
But I'm sorry you're a Chargers fan, but also I understand.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah. Wait, it's still better than a Bears fan, no matter what.
yeah,
Like,
they've had it bad too, but they have Super Bowls.
I think they have like
At least one. At least one from the 80s.
From the
85,
80s,
I think.
exactly.
Yeah. Chargers got nothing.
Yeah, they
Nothing.
don't. But Chargers somehow, like, they went from like Phillip Rivers to like somehow
Herbert, yeah.
Herbert. And so it's just like the Bears, you just like, they just will have like 20 years of crappy quarterbacks and then
Yeah.
like have one that's like, oh, this is the guy. And then
Yeah.
like, nope, it's not him.
Yeah,
There's
no.
next. So the Bears
Just
like,
keep drafting and signing.
right. Chargers fans can usually have fun until the playoffs. The Bears are just like
Yeah.
horrible.
That's a fair thing to say. Fair thing to say. All right. So I got a couple more improv questions for you, Guy. And then
Sure.
and then we're going to play some games.
Okay.
So my second to last improv question for you. Thinking about your time here at IFTP, I'm curious, what do you think the impact has been on your life? Not just maybe coming here and in the classroom, but outside of the studio as well. Like, because of improv, this has changed in my life.
Yeah, I think positivity has been like optimism. I'm not going to say that like, I changed completely, but improv really kind of forced me to be like, I can't just be like, that's a bad idea. You know what I mean? And I can't take out aggression on my scene member. And so it kind of like that trickles over where it's just like, oh, I actually can make a choice to look at this in a positive way. I can make a choice to accept this and add on to it. So that's at the very base, you know what I mean? And then a lot of, with that goes a lot of just trust. Trust that, in general, I can go into a place, it won't be so awkward. I'll be able to like know that I'm good and I can play along and, so it's a lot of just trust and confidence in myself of just being able to go with the flow in general and not try to come in and, judge things and, say this is a success and this is a failure. And like, because like improv, those words kind of don't even really exist. And then, yeah, like, again, that whole first thing about like, you can make a choice. You have a choice and the right choice is to add on to what's going on as opposed to reject it, in my opinion.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. Add on instead of rejecting. Take that everywhere.
Yes.
All right. My last question for you, Guy. So it's 2024, right? It's January. The year is young. You're wrapping up your second year at IFTP, about to enter your third. Looking at the year ahead, are there any like goals or things that you want to work on in improv this year? You're like, maybe I want to do shows. I want to go try stand-up comedy, or I really want to work on. You mentioned characters earlier. Like, what does that look like for you in 2024?
Yeah, really. Those things you kind of nailed it. Like, I would like to be in a show. I've done a show before, and it went really, really well, and so that kind of gave me the confidence that like, okay, I know I'll be able to even do much better than I can imagine. Like, I just drew on it, and I drew on the other people. So, it's not like a goal that I have to have right here and now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more something that I'm telling myself I'm open to it. And so, if the opportunity calls, I'm not going to be weird about it. Yeah. I'm just going to be like, good, I've been actually waiting for this. And so, yes, or whatever it is, Stand-up is also a thing. I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about for like 20 years and haven't done anything about it. But I constantly am thinking about different jokes and all that kind of stuff. So don't have anything planned, but I'm just like, man, I want to take those first couple steps to just get the jokes out there, at least so I could just be like, I didn't forget them.
On your radar. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, like, if I go back to what does improv give in life, it kind of connects to characters and accents and body movement. Is that like it's that committing, right off the bat to be like, and like, this is me and that's what I'm doing. And so many like people in classes, I noticed that, like, it's like common scene is, and also what I do is just kind of like, hey, so how's it going? Wow, you believe that we're here and whatever it is. But like, you know, sometimes another person will step out and just like yell and say something crazy. Be like, they're giving away free candy canes outside. Oh my God. And yell. And now like try to ignore that. So now the scene is going. So, so what I take into myself is like trying to do that more. And then into life, it's kind of like, just like commit, go for it, do it. Like, you know, enough of this dipping your toe kind of, like enough hesitation. Just like go for it, go into it. And so I think that also connects to bigger characters, bigger emotion, more commitment.
Yeah. No hesitation, just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good motto to have in your approach.
Definitely an improv.
Yeah, definitely an improv. In basketball, too. When you're shooting. See? Improv basketball. The crossover's there. Someone needs to write a book. It's just improv basketball. Something like that.
Yeah.
Not me, but someone. Guy?
I got to start reading some more books before I write a book.
You've read a few, I'm sure. That's
right,
enough.
yeah.
All right. Well, you ready to do some improv, Guy?
Let's try.
All right. So we have 3 games that we're going to be playing tonight.
Okay.
For this first game, this game, I hate this name. I need to think of something more clever. Time Bomb Dialogues. So the premise of this game is that you and I, we're going to be working on, working on defusing a bomb. But we need to be, having a different conversation unrelated to defusing the bomb. So we're defusing the bomb. That's happening. That's the context for the scene. But we have something else going on as well while we're defusing this bomb. And then at some point, the bomb will explode and it'll black us out. Well, maybe. I don't know. Something will happen with the bomb.
So we're not going to be successful.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how the scene goes.
Okay.
All right. Yes, we'll just go ahead and jump in.
So you think they're going to get a new coach?
Oh, man. Look, that last guy, bum. I mean, Jefferson, total bum. He lost the locker room. Lost the locker room.
Man.
Pass me the scissors.
There you go.
Thanks.
Yeah, sick of the nepotism there. I mean, like, how many chances is that guy going to get? Just move on.
Just because your dad's the owner doesn't mean you should be the coach of the team.
Right. Yeah. They need to, like, respect the fan base. We're sick of losing. Oh, watch out.
Oh, sorry.
Whoa. Ooh.
Wrong red. That was the dark red. Yes. I'm looking for the light red.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good catch. Yeah. It's like we pay the bills, right? Like you and me, we're fans. We buy tickets to the games. We buy merch, social media. Like we're the reason you have a team in the first place. You can pay the players. And yet, I don't know. No respect for the fans.
Not at all. And the ticket prices just keep going up.
I know. What are we paying for to watch you win 3 games a year?
It's horrible. Man, I took my dad to a game. We lost so bad. He basically didn't talk to me the whole ride home.
No.
Yeah. It was insane.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm sorry.
Ruined Thanksgiving.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You're trying to have, father-son bonding moment. You're like, hey, remember when I was a kid and you took me to the game? Now I'm taking you to the game, and ruined.
Yeah.
Ruined.
It definitely revived all those we've been losing for so long. It was like almost like a rite of passage, you know?
It's like now I can take you to see him lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a crazy idea. I think you should write a letter. You should write a letter and send it to the owner. And tell him that. Tell him that story about your dad.
Yeah.
This is what you're doing to your fans. You're ruining their holidays. You're ruining father-son traditions. Someone's got to do something about this. I mean, firing the coach isn't enough. I think sell the team.
Sell the team. I think I'm going to put in some, I think that's a really good idea. And I can add in some, snippets of my hair. And I think I got some old baby teeth. I just kind of want to let him know I'm serious. He probably gets a lot of letters, but if you get some weird, fingernail clippings, he's going to be okay, maybe I should sell the team.
Yeah.
Might not be worth it. This guy, wild card.
Dave, this is a genius idea. You have to do it. Turn that real quick. Turn that lever.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. Good. Gentle.
Well, I don't think I could let go of it at this point.
Okay. Hold it there.
All
I'll
right.
come in. All right. So I got to ask, let's say we sell the team.
Yeah.
Do you think we should, clean out the roster, start fresh, bring in a bunch of young guys, keep the squad we have?
Well, I think that we have a decent squad. Oh, thank you. Wow, that was close. It's so hard to tell if these players are good when the coach was just so bad. Are people getting the chances?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think like a new owner, hopefully you'd be willing to spend a lot of money too. That,
change the culture.
Right. That he just keeps all of our best players, maybe brings in a couple of other ones, that might be a little bit more money. But, right, changing the culture because, man, sick of losing. It's been 50 years of losing. Crazy.
It's our entire lives plus more.
Man.
Yeah. I'd just like to see us, not even win a playoff game. I want to see us win the division.
Yes.
Just win the division. That's it.
Win the division. And, maybe another option is if they sell the team, maybe they'll actually just sell it to a different league. And it could just be, maybe we're better at another sport,
I think there's something there. I think a lot of our players, basketball players could be great at lacrosse.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know, curling.
How do they know?
Maybe turn into an Olympic team.
Yeah. We could be dominating there. We could win every year. 50 years we haven't won. Okay, let's just change sports.
Yeah, not for long.
Right.
Not for long. I think our current roster, there's a lot of other areas they could excel. Maybe gymnastics.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
We would be the number one team in gymnastics. I know it right now. It's just like we would dominate, and we'd have players with retired jerseys in all those places. And, forget trophies. We'd be bringing home gold,
Gold is objectively more valuable.
Yes, for sure. Oh, my God.
I think we got distracted from the bomb.
It was hard,
Anyway, that was
to add on,
thinking about
space work.
Yeah.
That's another thing to improve.
Yeah, in this format, it's tough. We're sitting in a chair. We got a mic in front of us. Like our physicality is limited. Yeah. So I'll give us a pass there. But I think it's a very real scene.
Yeah,
that's a conversation a lot of sports fans have had. I think at some point,
right.
No matter the sport.
Yes.
Like, is it our coach? Is it the owner? There's nepotism. Like all these different things that go into it.
Yeah, somebody could be like, they're talking about my team.
Yeah. And I would imagine too, like, having never diffused a real bomb, I feel like they got to keep it light a little bit,
Right.
Pretty stressful moment.
Yeah, they got to put music on or chew gum.
It's like surgery, right? Like the doctor has like a playlist or a CD or whatever that they throw on while they're in the operating room. Same thing.
Right.
Same thing.
Yes.
Keep it light, keep it loose, and the work will be a little easier.
Right.
So, if anyone out there listening is on the bomb squad, can you let us know if that was accurate? I think it was.
Right. I was turning something. I was like, this is what they do. They turn things.
Yeah, you
right?
held that lever too, just to make sure, and wires, and you screwed some stuff, and probably opened a panel,
right?
Compartment.
Exactly.
It was all there. I could see it. It was metal. Pretty good size bomb. All right, we're going to move on to our next game, guy.
Cool.
So this next one is called Thinking Out Loud, which I think is a Taylor Swift song. So what do you know? I think that was not intentional, but that clicked in my head saying it. So in this game, you might have played something similar to this in class, but in this game, we're just going to start a scene. I'll give us a suggestion, let's say for a location. And what we're going to do is that you and I, at any point during the scene, we're able to kind of quickly turn to the camera and break the fourth wall. Kind of share what's going on in our head to the audience that's out there.
Okay.
Whatever that looks like.
All right.
Yeah. So let's see. Our location. Some of these are terrible. That one was just geyser. I need a little more than that. Geyser. All right. We're at a lighthouse, guy. You and I are at a lighthouse. This game, Thinking Out Loud. At any point, just turn this way. Break that fourth wall. My character can't hear you. And I'm going to say you can break the fourth wall. We'll both be able to break the fourth wall. That's more interesting. All right. We're at a lighthouse. We're thinking out loud. Here we go.
He hasn't come back. Don't expect him back tonight either.
Aye, and there'll be a storm coming. I worry that our mate out there, Carl won't be able to sail the ship in on time with that storm coming.
Aye. Probably with the mermaids, that one. Hope they're nice.
A siren lured him overboard.
It's gotta be. I know that he was having some trouble at home, too. Yeah.
Aye, so you're thinking he might want to be at sea longer.
Yeah. I'm thinking,
Find a mermaid.
yeah, find a mermaid, take her to the other side.
Aye.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, I'm actually hoping that this person never comes back because I want to get with his wife and I kind of want him to disappear off the face of the earth.
Aye. You know, I was thinking, we've been in this lighthouse business for a long time, matey.
Oh, we're the best.
You ever think about settling down? Finding yourself a nice landlubber?
Ah, yes. Well,
Having some little ones?
I've been praying to Neptune all my life for the right special lady to come.
Amen.
You know, sometimes just the one you want isn't available, but anything can change. Things just happen. The sea is the truth. So whatever the sea takes, it takes, and whatever's left here for us on land, that's what we get, right?
Aye, matey,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, so I think he wants Captain Carl's wife. I gotta press him a little bit.
Say, matey,
Arr.
did you make sure to give Captain Carl his compass before he departed to the seas?
Well, yeah, oh no, I actually I put it in my pocket. I meant to give it to him, and, he was setting sail, and he was saying bye to his wife, and I started talking to her, letting her know
Bless
I'll be
ye,
here.
matey.
I just kind of said, made sure she's all right. She has enough food, and if she it gets scary at night, and I somehow slipped my mind.
Aye, of course. You'd been drinking too much grog.
Yes. Well, he's a good captain. He knows how.
Aye.
He uses the stars.
Of course.
This is just a backup for him anyway. He should be fine.
Aye, yes, and of course, and I do remember you also told Captain Carl that there wouldn't be any storms during this journey. Is that so?
Yes. It was more of a hope. I was hoping there weren't being any storms. I didn't want to worry him.
Of course. You've been praying to Neptune for a clear skies
Yeah.
and calm seas.
Yes.
I've actually been praying to Neptune for a big storm right around this time, and looks like my prayers were answered.
Yeah. So, I just kind of said, it looks like clear skies. I think you'll be okay. And, he kind of told me he really trusts me out of everyone in this lighthouse. And I'm sorry to say this, but out of everyone, he said I was the most trusted person. And so, he didn't even have to check. He said, you say clear skies, I say clear skies, ahoy.
Aye, matey, I didn't know you were so close with Captain Carl. He must trust you with everything.
Oh,
His family, even.
Yes. He lets me come over and, on these long voyages, just keep an eye on Melissa. Melissa is just such a special lady, and it would be a shame for her to be alone on these cold nights. So, I just tend to the fire, make sure she has enough food. You're not trying to insinuate something, are you?
No, matey.
All right.
I'm just saying there shan't be a better friend than you.
He's on to me. He definitely knows that I know what he's doing. I need to tread lightly here.
Matey, all I'm going to say is this. It'd be a real shame if, between the two of us, one of us was going behind someone else's back. And, let's say, stealing another man's treasure, if you catch my drift. I know neither of us would do that.
Oh,
but it'd be a real shame.
Oh yes, it'd be the worst thing ever. I mean, it's only if someone's lost at sea forever. That would be the only situation, or at least for a couple nights, let's say, and you're not sure, if they're coming back. That would be okay. But other than that, you gotta be true to your fellow lad.
Blackout.
Sorry for coughing. That's where voices like that, I got to get used to.
That was great. I love that choice, though, of just like, all right, sea guys, we're piratey, kind of like, we spent some time at sea. And it just your character's reasoning is like, yeah, if we know they died, or if it's like a maybe.
Yeah.
That's great point of view on that character there. So, oh, man, that was fun.
Thanks for setting up with the compass and kind of introducing like, oh, did you actually sabotage him a little bit here?
Yeah.
Which was something that I wasn't thinking of.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh, this is fun now. Like, I'm hiding it.
That was a fun scene. Thanks, guy. It was all with that pirate choice. Oh man, I love a good like pirate sea man accent. So that's like it's always a good spot to be in. All right, we've got one more game we're gonna play.
Cool.
So this game is called Show and Tell, and essentially what I'm gonna do is I'm going to give you a random object, and we're going to play a scene where you're bringing in that random object to show and tell. You're going to tell us why it's important, why you have an emotional connection to this object, the story behind it. You're bringing it in for show and tell. That's a big deal. All right. So the object that you are bringing in for show and tell is a toilet. So we're bringing in a toilet for show and tell. All right, here we go. Wow. All right, Guy. So you're up next. Thank you so much. Show and tell. We're excited to see what you have.
I'm sure you're going to be excited to see this. It's something that you see every day, but you don't see this one every day.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm going to roll it up here. It's a little heavy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I could see.
That's a toilet.
That is a toilet. I mean,
okay.
Look.
Did you bring that from home? I'm sorry.
I actually did bring it from home, but I only hook it up a couple times a year, for special occasions. And the reason is that like, I've always wanted to travel to Europe. And, I finally got to go a couple years ago. And when I was in Paris, I asked, hey, do you know where the Louvre is? And I accidentally asked somebody from Britain, and they thought I was saying the loo. And they pointed me to a bathroom, but I didn't know that. So I thought this toilet was actually this thing that everyone from around the world comes to and talks about. And, and I was like, wow, I'm the only one here. And they even have an option for me to like lock the door and just, kind of get real intimate with it. So yeah, the first thing I did, I just took this in. And then I really just felt that like I needed to just be me and the toilet. So took off all my clothes. Again, I had the privacy of this. There was, it was kind of like, I think there was a McDonald's next door, but I was pretty private still. So I just had this moment with the toilet. I just stood there and I could hear somebody jiggling the handle at a point, but I just didn't even let that faze me. I just stood there looking at this toilet, looking at myself. And about after, 45 minutes, I'd say, I just decided my life is now different and I need this toilet in my life. So, after 45 minutes, I did get down to business, and it was a pretty good toilet too, I have to say, for the function of it. But beyond that, it was speaking to me. And so, cost a good amount of money. And it was kind of had to pull off a little midnight heist, to tell you the truth, because for whatever reason, they thought it was like pretty weird. At this point, I still thought it was the Louvre. I didn't think it was the loo. And then when I finally got home, I did some Googling and I saw, oh, it's a museum. But at that point, I didn't really even care. So yeah, I have this toilet, and I don't want to use it every day. I do wake up every morning and I have my time with it. But yeah, it just, if you would ever just have a moment with this toilet, you would start to hear it talk to you. And it's seen some stuff. It's seen a lot more than me and a lot more than you. So it's just full of wisdom, and you just need to know how to listen to it.
Blackout. Oh, just Louvre. Yep, that works for me.
That works?
That
All right,
works for
good.
me. That was, oh man, what a great. If I were in the audience and that was a real show and tell, I would just be, I'd be so engaged. I'd feel like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing story.
Wow.
It's both sad and incredible at the same time.
Bad. And I mean, that was a lot of drop in the agenda because when you first introduced the game, I thought like, I'll get to pick what I am, but what's the fun in me picking, right? And so then you gave me something, I was like, it's going to be a picture of somebody or whatever, an actual whole toilet. That's like crazy.
And you rolled it in, you only used it a couple times a year. So you appreciate it every day.
Yes.
I mean, you treated it like a great art piece, you know? You have it in your home, you appreciate it a little bit every day. And,
right.
You know, it's, so in a way, it was still almost like the Louvre.
Yes.
To this character, whoever he was. Oh, man. That was a lot of fun. All right. Well, thank you, Guy, for playing those improv games
Thanks,
with us.
that was fun.
Yeah. I said with us, with me. Scary.
The royal us.
Yeah, a Neptune.
Lebowski would say. The royal we or whatever.
Yeah. All right. So before we conclude tonight's episode, Guy, I want to give you the opportunity. Any final words you want to leave us with?
Just that I really, really appreciate doing this, and IFTP in general has just continued to provide me with new and different experiences, and just kind of made me feel a lot more comfortable with myself in different situations, and it just feels like it's a very, very supportive environment and just fun and creative. So that's kind of just the space that I'm finding, and really, really appreciate this. This is so cool. And I'm just like hoping that, the success and longevity of this show just keeps going and going and going. And I'm sure a lot of people would love to do it because I'm having a blast.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Guy. That's very kind. And I would say, yes, the fun and creativity here. If you haven't experienced it yourself, you should. But if you're listening, you probably have. So with that said, thank you so much to Guy Morgenshtern for coming on the show tonight. As always, we'll be back next week with another episode of Improv for the Podcast. But until then, we'll see you next time. Improv for the Podcast was created by Matt Moore and Michael Lee Evans. Edited and produced by Michael Lee Evans. And finally, presented by Improv for the People. Interested in more IFTP? You can visit us at improvforthepeople.com or on our socials, such as Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. Remember, new episodes are released weekly. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.